It's about 9:30 on my 92nd day since leaving, and I would say that this is very different feeling terrain from the Wind River Range, which I left yesterday. More specifically, the Bridger National Forest. But dropped down a bunch of elevation and back to pretty big looking plains, sagebrush, all that kind of stuff. So I think the majesty of the Wind River Range, which was stunning, ended yesterday. Here I took another alternate off of the CDT red line, or the official trail. And I went to the alternate called the Brooks Lake Lodge, which is a very expensive, extremely beautiful, sort of cowboy-ish ranch that's willing to hold packages for CDT hikers, so it was an easier way to resupply on the trail. I just picked up my mail resupply from the Brooks Lake Lodge, which is absolutely gorgeous property. They probably don't want me poking around too much, but I wanted to just do a quick peek inside their dining hall. I certainly want to respect their privacy and not walk around and annoying them, but they have a whole bar for their guests in there and a check-in. It's really beautiful inside. And I'll take a short video of the stables on the way out too, because there's like a bajillion horses. One last sort of zoom around, because look at how stunning this is. My goodness, this place is gorgeous. There's a couple osprey that you might not be able to see that are flying around, no doubt fishing. But my goodness, these mountains with their ridges and the water. Porcupine number 2 of the trip. Poor little guy, I scared him because I was walking by quickly. I won't bother him for too long. I just want to check him out and take a video. This is the South Buffalo Creek, and there's supposedly 3 significant water crossings today. This is supposed to be the easiest of them because it's so wide. You can see there's a good current to it, but it doesn't look horrifically deep. It's supposed to rain, so instead of trying to take my socks and shoes off and all that stuff and risk getting a fish hook in the foot, I'm just gonna go for it. It's safer that way. It's always what I recommend doing, even though sometimes I've sort of broken my own rule lately. This is a stream that is called Parting of the Waters. And so it is kind of a cool natural way that the water just divides up between all these rocks and gravel. Rainy night last night. Fortunately, there's a huge area here to set up tents, so there's a lot of people here. Most of the Sobos seemed like they've already taken off, and some folks not in a huge rush. I wasn't either, so I don't want to get to my Yellowstone camp and just sit there all day in the rain. So mosquito. So I took my time, but it's time to get going. It's not currently raining. It's supposed to rain today, and I can't really get a good updated got it. I can't really get a good updated forecast from my inReach, so when it rains, it pours, I guess. There hasn't been very many days with this much rain, like yesterday and today is supposed to be, so I would have to be appreciative of that. There's a little bit of break in the rain, it's starting to sprinkle again, but another milestone entering Yellowstone National Park. I was able to get my permits procured from the Brooks Lake Lodge via a Wi-Fi phone call, and the central office was very helpful, so I've got my next few days all planned out. So I'm in Yellowstone. This is site H5. It comes with a bear pole for doing bear hangs, which I used. That down there is Heart Lake. This is the way out. And that was home for last night. It rained almost the entire night. At one point it stopped. I got up and relieved myself and left the vestibule door open. But then I woke up to some pretty heavy rain, had to shut it, so it's currently not raining now. Let's hope it stays that way. It's been a wet couple days. Here's a better look at Heart Lake. I have heard some loons singing, so that's fun to know that they're here. Unfortunately, it's sprinkling again already, which is lame. This is a pretty big gift shop and has a grocery store and a kind of a to-order grill in there too. The grocery store had a pretty good selection, and the prices weren't as extreme as I would imagine they could be in a national park. Here we've got the post office, which is where I picked up my awesome fancy new shoes, new battery bank, sunscreen, bug spray, personal meds, and was able to send my Kevlar food bag and some other stuff home. So you all know what post offices do, and this one did it just how it's supposed to. Next up in our tour of Grant Village is the Lake House. So this is where I've heard they have a nice taco restaurant that's a lot less expensive than the place that requires reservations. So they don't open till 5, but I'm exploring around since I don't want to be in a wet tent. So this morning has been wonderful. I slept very well for being in a sort of a overpacked, noisy hiker campsite, and the bathroom lights stayed on all night, so it was like somebody was shining a flashlight right in my tent the whole night, but I still slept really well. So this morning I got up, packed up, and went to the all-you-can-eat sort of like fancy, expensive-ish breakfast. It was like an $18 breakfast, and ate a lot of really good food. Didn't overdo it, which is very easy to do, so I feel good. But then the manager of the place came over and was like, you guys have been working hard, so, don't worry about your bill. So that was amazing. So basically a free, fancy, all-you-can-eat breakfast. And then I met a guy there named Chicago who was going southbound. He actually is a flip-flopper. And then we started walking together to go try to catch a hitch. And before we even got close to getting to the road, a truck slows down. It's like, you guys need a ride? And it turns out it's actually a really nice, friendly employee of the park that I had talked to a whole bunch yesterday while I was doing my laundry and getting ready for showering. So and two, you can hopefully tell there's blue skies and sun for the first time in days. So my morale is good. So very happy. Okay, I didn't realize it, but there's a significant ford here. So that orange thing is indeed the trail. And that is probably somewhere around 100 feet of water. And I have brand new one-day-old shoes and brand new one-day-old socks. And it's a beautiful blue day. I'm gonna break the rules again and go barefoot because I don't want to get my feet soaked. Here's a much nicer look at Shoshone Lake. All the southbound CDT hikers were complaining about Yellowstone not being as exciting as they were hoping it to be, but it had all of these natural, beautiful seismic pools and geysers. This seems like good advice. So there's a whole bunch of really neat seismic activity. So I'm at my campsite for the night, which is the Upper Firehole campsite, which the park refers to as OA2. All of their sites have letters and numbers, and I don't really know if there's a code to it or something, but there is a bear pole. I'm the first one here because I made a really good time. A fire ring. There's a nice stream right where you can't see past those trees there. And then because it's blue skies and sunny and in and out of the clouds, I've just yard sailed my entire setup. The thermal geyser-y thing over there. Right now the tent is set up in way too tall mode. I would never sleep in it this way. But it does a good job of getting a lot of the floor off of the ground to try to help it dry out. And then I have all this stuff too, so I'm pretty exploded right now. But that way everything I have has a chance to get a little bit of breeze and sun and dry out.
So far? This is not including my training, this is my second one. Yeah.
The CDT is famous for being extremely remote, and it definitely is, but I was coming up on Old Faithful Village, which is the polar opposite of that.
There it is.
There it is.
They're in the splash zone.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, they're in the splash zone over there.
Wow.
They're all getting so
Alright, let's scooch over. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Now let's take a picture of yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway,
day after you leave Yellowstone National Park, you're done with Wyoming, but then you do hop into Idaho for the first time, and then you go back into Montana and back and forth dozens of times until you finally steer away from the border. Well, it's hailing pretty hard. Glad I have my umbrella up there to kind of deflect these things. Been thunderstorms the last couple hours. I've been getting hit by a bunch of thunderstorms this afternoon, but right now I'm not. And the trail kind of comes across this probably like washout thing. But somebody took the time to make a nice 2,000 marker out of sticks. So this is the 2,000 mile mark on the red line, which almost nobody has 100% stuck to. So it is still a milestone, but it's not a literal one. Woohoo! All right, so New Mexico check, Colorado check, Wyoming check. That's 3 states down, and that means I have the Idaho border and Montana to go, so getting there for sure. That's looking back at Idaho, and these are my first steps into Montana. It's the last state, which is amazing. It feels good, but there are still a lot of miles left. There's about 900 miles to go, so not to mention that the trail goes back and forth in Idaho and Montana like non-stop every day for the next like 400-ish miles or something. So not quite as a huge milestone as it might sound. So it's day 99 since I started, and I'm actually really close to Targhee Pass, and I want to go into town, but going in this late is less fun than going in the morning, because you can do a lot more in town in the morning. You have all day there. So I'm about a mile from that road, and I just wanted to show an acceptable but not particularly great campsite. I'm kind of in this lodgepole pine forest. You can probably see my bear bag over there. I made dinner over a mile away from here and ate it just on the trail by a water source. So that way I didn't get any kind of delicious smelling scents near my tent. Sadly, not a CDT hiker and not on the CDT, but only a couple miles away from here was a grizzly bear fatality attack on a woman not that long ago, only a week or so ago. So being extra bear cautious and mindful of that. Here we have a drizzly West Yellowstone, Montana. It's not supposed to rain all day, and the next few days are actually a lot nicer, but it's kind of spitting now. The radar shows that it kind of should be, but it should stop really any minute. I've tried all the outfitters that I could in town, but none of them have the water filter that I'm looking for. And mine still works, but I am hoping to replace it just to make it a little faster. It's the same one I've used since New Mexico, so swapping them out every once in a while just makes quality of life improvement. It's not like it's damaged or something. They do have things here if you absolutely needed one. But my goal is to get back out on the trail and try to do 20-ish miles today if I can. And I have to figure out how I'm going to do that. West Yellowstone, Montana was the first town that I was in since Colorado that actually had like more than one grocery store option kind of thing. So it's definitely a real touristy town, lots of restaurants, lodging. It's pretty expensive because it's right next to the park. Well, fast forward, I'm back up at Targhee Pass. After my chores, post office, and all this stuff, I went to McDonald's, charged up, and then I walked back to the Madison, which is the motel of the guy that drove me in. He's the owner. And I went to go ask if he was making another trip, and as I got there, 2 hikers were loading up. So I just hit the nail on the head by luck twice in a row from the same gentleman. And I offered him $20 when we got back up here as a thank you, and he refused it. He wouldn't take it. So anybody that sees this, stay at the Madison in West Yellowstone, Montana. Help that guy out. He's a super nice guy. Does a lot for the hikers.